Aquarius, the water bearers. How are you guys doing? It is very breezy out here. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. So, anyway, what's happening in September for you guys? The sun is in Virgo, and then it's going into Libra on the 23rd of the month. It will be in your eighth house for 3 weeks, and then it will be in your ninth house. Actually, I just want to say that there is a lot of second house activity with Venus and Mars there and eighth house activity. So these are the money houses, your money, other people's money. And so we can say that this is a theme for you in September. And, Aquarius, we all need money to live on, but you're not the kind of sign that is usually, ooh, money, like that's not something you're necessarily obsessed with unless you have a strong Capricorn signature, which is entirely possible with some personal planets that are near to Aquarius or a moon in Capricorn. It's entirely possible. But in any case, with the sun in the eighth house, there might be some matter that you're really involving yourself with that involves money that you do not earn directly. So, investments, your spouse's money, this may come into the spotlight for you in the first 2/3 of September, and you'll have to, you know, engage with it on some level. You may even know now what that is. It might have to do with an inheritance. But whatever it is, you will end up having the sun go to the ninth house, and that will make you more philosophical. And I think that, since the ninth house is ruled by Sag, this is going to be a friendlier energy for you because Libra is a fellow air sign, so that forms a trine to your sun. And I think that you will really see the energy lift because the eighth house for those first few weeks, that's kind of an intense placement. And there's actually going to be a partial solar eclipse in your eighth house at 20 degrees Virgo on the 13th of September. So, new beginnings in other people's money, but it could also have to do with sex, death. So, that's why inheritances, as well as taxes, that sort of thing, falls into the eighth house. Also, the mysteries of life, the occult. You might have some new revelations around the time of the new moon or some kind of a new study in the occult. It'd be a great time for it, actually. Aquarius is a sign that is associated with astrology. So, and UFOs and far out kind of things. So, whatever, go for it. Mercury is going to be in the ninth house during this month. And it goes retrograde on the 17th. So it's really a philosophical time, I think, in September because this is overtly philosophical, this house. It also deals with foreign travel, foreigners, different cultures, but in publishing, the ninth house, it has to do with your philosophy of life. But with the eighth house energy, that has to do with kind of that hidden. Occult means hidden, so it's a hidden philosophy, but philosophy isn't a good word. The hidden mysteries of existence, is that what I'm looking for? And both of those houses are deep thinking houses. So I think that Aquarius, you guys will not be as typically, social butterfly esque, and you will be more pondering and, like Rodin, that sculpture of the thinker, and maybe that'll be you. You'll be channeling that sculpture for September. When it goes retrograde, this Mercury, it affects any kind of publishing venture, or it could have to do with something related to higher education. I should have mentioned that. So some of you are very likely in the academic world, and of course September is a time when school starts. So there might be some kind of confusion at the university with any kind of communication, so watch out for that. But I definitely should have mentioned that the ninth house is related to higher learning. So that's awesome. And then you have Venus and Mars in your seventh house. Interesting. Venus in the seventh. So this is a romantic time for detached Aquarius. Mars there is kind of making you lusty, but also possibly combative. So watch out for that. Now, the seventh house is your long-term partnerships. It is usually associated with your romantic partner, but it could also be a business partner. It could also be a legal case that is on the docket. Just watch out for Mars being too aggressive in this sector. And then on the 25th, Mars moves into the 8th house and becomes all about that energy that relates to other people's finances. So this could be, for some of you, having definitely to do with an inheritance, and you might have to duke it out a little bit. So it's okay to fight for what is yours, as long as you don't go overboard and just run roughshod over others. But Mars doesn't necessarily mean being overly aggressive. It just can sometimes mean that you have to defend yourself, and there's nothing wrong with defending yourself. Sometimes you have to do so. Just don't be a bully, that's all. And I don't think many Aquarians are like that. I think you guys are very humanitarian. You're very detached. You try not to fly off the handle. And so this might just be if something really gets under your skin, if somebody, especially if it's a family issue, which it could very well be. When you're dealing with eighth house matters, you could be dealing with inheritances, and then it automatically puts you in contact with family. Jupiter is actually going to be in this house all year, so you have some protective energy in the eighth house. Now, what this could also mean is that if you are somebody who invests, that this will be a year that you will see major gains. It could also go back to an inheritance that you see to fruition and you get what is rightfully yours. It could have to do with anything related to a spouse's money. It could have to do with anything related to occult studies. Okay, Aquarius, now at the time that I'm recording this, we have Saturn already direct, and this is in the latter degrees of Scorpio, and this is your 10th house. So it is very possible that some of you have noticed a real beneficial energy lately regarding your career, a boost, because this is actually a very good place for Saturn. It was in retrograde at the time of it going back into Scorpio, so it might have just been that you had to revisit some issue regarding your career and solidifying that. But then Saturn goes into the 11th house, and this is because it's going into Sagittarius. This will officially occur on the 17th of September, interestingly, at the same time that Mercury goes retrograde. So it becomes more significant in this case when it's in your house. And it means that, or at least I interpret it to mean that with Saturn in this house of hopes and wishes, you can really make them come down into the physical plane. So it's like manifesting, crystallizing whatever it is that you are wishing for rather than just leaving it in the realm of fantasy. So I do see that as a positive. You know, some other person might say, "Oh, well, it's going to be a restriction in this area." No, you cannot say some planets are good and some are bad. That's too simplistic. And let's face it, there are a lot of successful Capricorns, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And you guys are co-ruled by it too, so that's pretty cool. On the 27th of September, there will be a total lunar eclipse in the sign of Aries, which happens to be your third house. So, this is a really spectacular energy when it comes to doing something related to communicating. And if you have any kind of website that you've been trying to get on, now, of course, it is going to be during the Mercury retrograde. So, you might not want to initiate something during this time, but there might be some kind of major development that happens on the 27th. Remember that a lunar eclipse is the equivalent of three full moons. There's a lot of stuff on the internet about this time period. I've actually seen even earlier from about September 22nd to the 28th. So it's quite interesting. And it might be that you receive some sort of important message from your siblings. It might mean that you see some sort of writing that you've done being read by many others. There's all kinds of possibilities for this. Just know that it has the flavor of Gemini, which is a ruler of the third house, and anything that Gemini is connected to. The overall card I got for you is the Two of Cups. And so this goes right along with what I was saying about Venus and Mars in that seventh house, providing all of that romantic and even kind of lusty energy in the house of relationships for you. So this is featured in the month of September. And for the first half of the month, I got the Three of Pentacles and the Hermit card. I've been pulling the Three of Pentacles a lot. This is basically an energy that's associated with something that is in progress, but it has been successful in its initial stages. And there's also an element of you dealing with other people because threes not only relate to abundance, but they relate to someone other than like a couplehood. So it's like pentacles are like, you know, money, it could be resources, something good, but it's something beneficial all the way around that you are involved with, some kind of a project. And it's coupled with the Hermit card, interestingly, which almost seems like the exact opposite because it isn't social energy, it's energy of going within. So maybe what it's saying to you is that if you have to work on something, if you have your own business, if you're working in a corporation or some other kind of entity, you will be successful in your work life, but you also need time to tap into your inner resources and your higher self, so to speak. For the second half, I got the Death card and the Knight of Pentacles. And the Death card is a card that speaks of sudden endings, changes. I do believe that because you have that eighth house activity during the month of September, that this kind of corresponds with that in some fashion. And the Knight of Pentacles is really kind of a workhorse card. So it really means getting down to business, rolling up the sleeves, working a lot. And it's very possible that with the Death card that there is some shift in your work life. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be a bad thing because Pentacles is connected to your work sector, your money sector.